Welcome to my channel. I'm Shay. I am a writer, historian, and PhD candidate at Harvard. Today, we're going to talk about oral history. How do we think and talk about stories that come through to us, either through communications with relatives or with friends or with people who didn't have access to written tools or didn't prefer the written medium when telling their stories? It's possible for you to conduct your own oral history of your family or your friends or your relatives. I think it's great that you're interested in your family history to begin with, or maybe you're just interested in the history of your small town or people around you or anything really. So here's some tips on capturing oral history. The first is be patient. You're not going to capture the entire history of a person or a group of people in one sitting. It takes time to build an archive. It truly does. So, as you're speaking with this person or speaking with these groups of people, just be patient. Don't feel like you have to capture everything in one instance or even in one take. I don't think you can capture everything in one take, actually. The second thing is have a conversation, not an interrogation. Sometimes it can feel like the questions that we're giving the people that we're speaking with or speaking to can sort of come down in rapid fire ways. And in reality, the best way to get the stories you're looking for, the information you're looking for, is to just speak with the person one to one, have that deep conversation, and the stories will naturally come out. Of course, there's ways to look at framing your questions or changing your questions so you can get more history or information. But for the most part, I think it's really important to have a conversation and do not make them feel like they are being interrogated. The third thing is bring something to record your thoughts. Depending on the environment you're in or the place where you're doing the interview, it might be hard to have your phone or even a laptop. So bring a small notebook. Just bring something to jot down ideas or thoughts you may be having as you're speaking with the person or the group of people. The fourth thing is to know the person's conversational style. So there are some people who can talk for hours unprompted. There's other people who may need leading questions or other type of questions to sort of get the story out or to understand the history that they want to share with you. Be patient, once again, as I said before, but also as you're speaking with them and it takes time, just understand, how do they have a conversation? Do they need more prompting, or do they pretty much take the interview into their own hands? Understand that and then adjust accordingly. So, what type of questions are you actually going to ask? Well, here we go. The first type of questions are anchor questions. So, beforehand, you should have an idea of the subject or the time period in this person's life that you want to cover. As I said before, it's hard to cover everything in one interview. So, narrow down on a specific subject or event or time in that person's life. The most important thing is to, in many ways, paint a picture with the person that you're interviewing. So you might ask questions such as, do you remember what you wore that day? What was the weather like? Who were you with when you went to this thing? Or how would you describe the beginning of the day? Or just things like that to sort of paint the picture with the person and start to build out the story, the plot line, even the characters that you are going to be discussing in your work or in the history and stories that you want to preserve and capture. The second thing is also contextual questions. So making sure that you ask for people's names, ages, times that something happened, dates, things of that sort, because that's going to be really helpful when you start to have a lot of pronouns in the conversation. So then you end up asking yourself or the person you're interviewing, can you speak more about this person or that person? And then the more you start to refer to the people by name, the more that that person's memory might be jogged or that they'll have more to say about that specific person. Once again, it's all about character development and making sure that you're telling histories and stories that are as compelling or as detailed as possible. The third thing is, don't be afraid to ask for memorabilia or objects or other things that they might have from that time period, whether it's pictures, an old album, an old cassette tape or something that they have that jogs their memory or helps them speak more fondly, or not necessarily even have to be fondly, but to speak more accurately. There's been multiple times I've been interviewing people and they'll show me an old photo, which is amazing. Or they will bring an old letter out, or in some cases, they even show me an old email from, an earlier period of time. So it's really great to also just think about the type of objects people carry with them, whether it's jewelry or memorabilia or just all these other things. Everything that you have the opportunity to even just look at, I think it's really great for helping you build out the story and the history that's coming out of this conversation that you're having with this person. So, my favorite thing about being a historian is not only being in archives, but eventually building an archive by speaking with people from across the world, really, about the histories that I'm trying to capture. It's really great to even have the opportunity to speak with people as we are moving throughout history ourselves. We notice that a lot of stories do not get captured, or when they do get captured, it's incomplete. So I'm super excited that you're interested in oral history and making sure that it is preserved and accessible to people for generations. I'm so happy you're here, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm going to get back to writing my dissertation. See you guys.